everyone, welcome to my personal library. I'm your friendly neighborhood book vlogger, Madi Kay. This is my big chair, and we're going to let the Spin the Wheel app determine my TBR list for 2025. I'm going to use this app to let it choose different prompts for me, and so based off the prompts that the Spin the Wheel app gives me, I'm going to choose books that I have either on my bookshelf in my library list or on my audiobook list as well. In order to give my reading this year a little bit of direction, I usually am a big mood reader, so very rarely do I ever read based off of lists. And I really think that's why last year wasn't really an enjoyable reading year for me. So I'm going to try something different and to guarantee myself a way more fun reading experience as well. Not to mention this will make this way more fun and motivate me even more to read these books I've had on my shelves for years. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you're curious about the Spin the Wheel app and would like to use this to help you decide your TBR list for 2025, I will leave the link in the description down below so that way you can download it on your phone and have fun deciding your TBR list as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and pull this up, TBR prompts, and spin the wheel. Okay, let's see what our first category for 2025 is going to be. Okay, new author. Okay, I'm not sure if this means new author to me or new author in general, like they're a brand new author. But let me look and see if there's anything on my shelf that really sticks out to me. Okay, well, the first book that comes to my mind when I think of brand new author is a brand new author to me who is also a debut author. And that is going to be Ministry of Time by Kayleen Bradley. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So Kayleen Bradley, this is her debut novel. It was also sci-fi, and it was also chosen for one of the nominees for the GoodReads Choice Awards for 2024. So I've seen a lot of booktubers talk about this book, and I've been really curious about it. I don't really know what it's about. And sometimes I like to keep myself in suspense because that way I don't really have any expectations. So I go into it with like an open mind. All right, let's add that to the TBR first out of 25. We're choosing 25 books for the year 2025 because I like to stay consistent that way. Let's choose our next category and click. All right, let's see what we have here. Okay, so under 300 pages. I have quite a few books that are under 300 pages. Let me go check them out. Okay, all right. So my choices for my bookshelf were The Handmaid's Tale or Angus Thong's A Perfect Snogging. And I know that Handmaid's Tale is going to put me in a bad mood. So I'd much rather read this book instead. I'd much rather read this book instead because I feel like it's going to put me in a better mood. So this book, Angus Thong's A Perfect Snogging, is a book by Louise Renison. And this was a movie that came out years ago. And I really liked the movie. And I was interested in reading the book version because sometimes there are a little bit of differences. But it's basically about this girl named Georgia Nicholson. She's this high schooler in London. She's in love with this new kid in town and she's trying to get him to be her boyfriend. It's a coming-of-age story. Even though it's more for young adults, I tend to really like the young adult category. I usually like young adult books a lot, so I'll definitely give this one a try. So that's going to be next up on my TBR list. All right, so I'll definitely be adding this one to the list. All right, let's see what the next category is for the wheel here. Oh, weapon on the cover. I don't know if there's any books with weapons on my bookshelf. So let me extend the search and look on my Audible list. Oh, okay. So this one, it's kind of an intimidating one, but I'm definitely excited to read this. It's Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I've heard so many good things about this book and I've been really itching to read it. And I just haven't gone around to it because there's so many other books I wanted to read. And I've had it downloaded on my Audible for a very long time. And I think that's going to be a very strong choice because it's fantasy. I love fantasy. And it's written by an author that a lot of people swear by. So I think this would be a pretty good introduction into Brandon Sanderson for me. So I think that's a pretty good choice. Okay, next up on the list, let's see what we have here. Person on the cover. I have a lot of covers with people on the cover because obviously you want to know who you're looking at when you're reading a book. Let's see which one I've been dying to read for a while. Okay, I have a lot of books that I could really choose from on my bookshelf, but this one really stood out to me and it's Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I've read a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books so far, and even though they seem to be pretty much the same, I'm always willing to give her another shot. And this cover is super cute, super pretty. And it's been on my TBR list for a while, so I definitely think that I should give this one a shot. And from what I know about Ali Hazelwood, it's definitely going to be about another STEM-related romance where the girl's really small and the guy is really big. And as you can see on the cover here, he's carrying her, so already proved me right. But yeah, it's just another kind of turn your brain off kind of romance book that a lot of people seem to enjoy, so I'll definitely give that one a try. So let's see what the next category is going to be. What does foiled cover mean? Hold on, let me look this up real quick. Oh, okay. So foiled cover means that it's like there's some kind of metallic thing pressed onto it so it looks metallic, or it's like shiny. It's like something with a shiny metallic looking cover. All right, let me see, because I don't know if I have any of those. I feel like I have a couple of those books, but I definitely don't have a lot. So this is pretty interesting. I'll have to choose from my physical TBR because obviously online the covers look very different. All right, that didn't really take me that long at all. So I found this book. I don't know if you guys can see that, but with the light here, yeah, this is a very foiled cover, and it also has those like different pages where they're like different lengths, which bothers some people, but I actually enjoy. So this is, I think it takes place, it's kind of hard to see because of all the metal there, but it looks like it takes place in, I want to say Turkey. That's what it looks like. Tehran. Okay, so it looks like it's a romance story in 1953 Tehran. So I don't know where that is, but I'm sure I'll learn all about it in this book. So I'm excited to read it. I've had this sitting on my shelves for a while collecting dust, and it was a recommendation from one of my favorite booktubers, Clockwork Reader. And she said she really liked it, so I'm definitely excited to pick it up. Let's see what we have next on the wheel. All right, next category is library list. Okay, so let's open up our Libby app and take a little look here. I think I know which one I'm going to choose. So last year, I started reading this book called Antibot, which is a sci-fi book about this futuristic world where people basically pay to get their own like AI robot that cooks, cleans, and does other things for you. So it's basically a story about these female robots and how the men who buy them treat them, basically like walking, docking, cleaning sex dolls. I was reading this during our vacation and I wasn't really in the mood to read it because it was kind of a hard book to read. I'm definitely very motivated to finish it. So I think I'm going to give that one another try. Antibot by Sierra Guerrier. Okay. And I like the cover. It's really cute. All right. Next up. Oh, okay. Friend pick. Okay. All right. So my friend Nora, who's also an avid book reader like me, she gave me a really good suggestion the other day. And it was for this book, The Sentient House That Can Talk and Feel, and these witches, and there's something about tea. Let me ask her real quick what that book is about, and then I'll let you guys know what she answers. All right, so Nora just got back to me, and she said that the book is Crescent Moon Tea Room by Stacy Savinsky. Oh, that one's really cute. I'm so excited for that. I'm definitely picking that up. All right, let's see what's up next. Fan row. I don't know what that is. All right, we're skipping it. Okay, hardcover. Okay, well, luckily for us, I do have a lot of those. So let's see what we can pick up. Okay, guys, so I found one and I really like this cover because it's very vibrant, very pretty, very bright. And this is called Bright Young Women, which is a story about survivors of a serial killer and their journey to bring justice to the man who almost killed them. And I really like the aspect of looking at the survivors of these serial killers and seeing what their lives are like and if this guy will ever get justice. So I feel like this is right up my alley and I am more motivated now than ever to definitely pick it up and give it a good read. All right, let's see what else Spin the Wheel has in store for us. All right, we already did hardcover. There's a lot of really good categories in here. I wish we weren't skipping over them. Author's debut. Oh, okay. So there's a difference between new author and author's debut. Okay, well, I'm going to stick with my choice anyway. I don't care. All right, author's debut. So this is a tricky one. So author's debut means that this was their first ever book that was published. And that's usually kind of hard to find unless you're looking directly in the summary. But I feel like I have a pretty good idea of a lot of authors who came out with their new books recently. So let's see if I have any on my bookshelf that I know are debut novels, and then we can look on my more digital TBR. Okay, so I did find one, and I got this book a while ago, and it just really stuck out to me, and it's a YA fantasy, and this is, oh gosh, I know I'm going to mispronounce this, and I apologize beforehand. Tomi Adeyemi. This book is called Children of Bone, and it's a pretty hefty book, but it sounds really good. And I've heard so many good things about it. And, oh yeah, it has a pretty little map in there. You can kind of see that. I'm excited to read this. This is super cool. I love it. All right, so on to our next category. Let's hit the spin button here. Hopefully I don't get any repeats. Oh, includes cooking. I know what I'm going to read. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. So this book ironically enough, my book club decided to read it for next month. So I have to read it now because it's assigned reading. It's been on my TBR list for years. I have to finish it. I've heard really good things about it. I know there's like a trigger warning for in here. Hopefully it's not too graphic. I don't need to read about it in a book. Alrighty, well, that was an easy one. Let's figure out the next one. Okay, Black author. Okay, I do have quite a bit of books by a Black author. So let me see. Oh yeah, I know which one I want. I've had this, again, sitting on my shelf for years. Okay, it feels like. All right, let me go get it. All right, so the book that I've chosen is 7 Days in June by Tia Williamson. And you can tell that I haven't touched this book in a while. The tag is still on it. But it's a Reese's Book Club book. So this one is about two novelists who, after years apart, come back together and spend 7 days together. And I guess just kind of pick up where they left off. I've heard really good things about this book. I think this book is probably the only book where I haven't heard a single bad thing about it, which is amazing. I think this is a perfect read for February because, it's a month of love and Valentine's Day and also Black History Month. So you guys can hold me accountable and yell at me in the comments if I don't end up reading this by the end of this year. All right, guys, we're almost halfway through our list. And for those of you who have still stuck around this entire time, thank you so much. I hope you're having as much fun with this video as I am. I just want to check in and say, if you do make it to the end of this video, please leave a smiley face in the comments. That way I know that you made it to the end. And also feel free to let me know what books are on your TBR for 2025. I'm always excited to see what other people are reading. And it's also a good way for us to recommend books to each other. We are going to spin the wheel again. This is really fun. I don't know why. Is this weird that I really enjoy this? It's like kind of like a game. Oh, favorite author. I know which one I'm going to pick. So I know this is kind of controversial, but I am a huge Sally Rooney girly. And she recently came out with this new chess-themed book called Intermezzo. And I've been wanting to read it for a while because my husband and I played chess together. And I'm terrible, but he's really good. And I've been wanting to immerse myself more into chess-themed books because I find it to be really fascinating. So I feel like that's going to be a really good book. I love all things Sally Rooney. I definitely recommend checking them out if you haven't read them already. Just keep in mind that she doesn't use quotation marks when she's writing dialogue, so that could be kind of confusing. Moving on to the next category. Ooh, an orange cover. Okay, I don't have a lot of books with an orange cover, probably because I don't really like the color orange that much. Okay, well, let me see if I can find one. Does it have to be orange all the way across? Because there's some with orange on the spine, so it doesn't matter. It's my video. I can do whatever I want. Okay. Oh, I found it. I know what I want. Okay. Okay. This book, in the spirit of Black History Month coming up, I have heard so many good things about this book, and it is called White Tears, Brown Scars. No. Oh, I got it. Oh my gosh, that was really good. I got it on the first try. White Feminism Betrays Women of Color by Ruby Hamad. And I've heard so many good things about this book, and it really covers the issue of intersectionality within the world of feminism, and especially considering the recent election cycle, how a lot of white women don't really consider how women of color are affected by certain issues, and talking about how white women make decisions that more or less benefit them because of their race rather than other women of color. And I thought that was really interesting. It's going to be a very hard read. I'm already feeling the white guilt just holding this book. But honestly, I think it's really important to educate ourselves on different perspectives, even ones that make us uncomfortable. And I really think this book can teach me a lot. Oh, it talks about the Hunger Games in here. Okay, well, there you go. Even more motivation to read it. And moving on from that, let's see what our next category is going to be. TBR Vet. Oh, okay. So this means that this book has been on my TBR list forever. And that's like all of my books. So I guess I'm just going to have to figure out which one I'm more motivated to read out of all of them. All right, let me go look. This chair is not the most stable. I have to fix this every 5 seconds. Okay, I know which one I'm going to pick. This one. Don't come at me. I know I'm super late, but I couldn't help it. And oh my God, look at that. It's reflective as well. That's so cool. Okay, so this book, it is called Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow. You probably have heard of it if you're a big avid book reader like myself, but this book has taken the BookTube Book Talk world by storm. Everyone I know loves this book. It's by Gabrielle, and it is about these two gamers who fall in love. So it's a romance book, talks about video games a lot, and I'm not a gamer. Personally, I don't really like video games, and my husband does. So I'm always interested to learn about things that I don't really enjoy or understand because it sometimes gives me a better perspective on that world and a new appreciation for it. So I'm definitely excited to try this one out. I've been meaning to read this for what feels like years, so I'm definitely excited for that. All right, TBR bet. Tomorrow. I cannot wait to finally be able to read that one. All right. Next up, new to you author. Okay, so there are a lot of authors I haven't tried yet. I feel like this is going to be an interesting one. Fine Print by Lauren Asher. And again, you can see I got this from Meyer and I haven't touched it since. Yeah, you can see with the tag here, I got this from Meyer. I'll have to try to take that tag off. But this book is basically a Disneyland fanfic romance between Rowan, who I'm guessing is the billionaire, the Walt Disney of this book, and Zara, who I believe is the one who works for him. And they're very power imbalanced romance. But I've heard so many people talk about this book. And yeah, I'm going to read this even though I feel like I'm not a big romance girly. And I'm not really into like the dark romance genre, but I'm a fan of Disney, so who knows, maybe this will make me feel some nostalgic way about it, but I'm also nervous that's gonna ruin my love for Disney, so we'll see. All right, so that was a bit of a gamble, but again, I think it's important to strike out and read books that you don't always like from that genre, because you never know, someone might change your mind someday. All right, so up next, hit the spin button, new release. Oh, okay, so this is great, because I've been wanting to read the 2024 GoodReads Choice Award winners, and obviously they were published in 2024. So the first one that comes to mind is The Women by Kristen Hanna, and the reason why I want to read this one in particular is not only because it was one of the winners on the list, but also because it's historical fiction. I always tend to like historical fiction books, but one of the ladies from my book club, she actually recommended this one because it talks about the Vietnam War and the women who are in the Vietnam War who are nurses and didn't really get credit for their work there. So I always like reading books or watching movies about women's roles in war because you don't really get to hear about that in your history class because for some reason it's not as important as learning about all the men. So this sounds really good to me. And also if you're looking for a good movie kind of right up that alley, I definitely recommend the 6888, the new Tyler Perry movie on Netflix. It has Kerry Washington in it. And it's about the only African-American woman regime in Europe who had to deliver all the mail. And it was a really good movie. And it definitely reminded me of this book. And I put it on my TBR list. And now I'm definitely much more motivated to read it because it sounds really good. I didn't really like Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale book all that much, but hopefully this one is a little bit better. Okay, so we're getting through this list rather quickly, guys. I like this. Let's click the spin button. I'm seeing some of the categories that we've already had. Okay, I already did that one. Okay, now we're pressing the spin button again. Continue a series. Oh boy. All right, I have a lot of series I need to continue that I haven't finished just because some of the books I'm not really motivated to read the sequel for whatever reason. But one that I definitely know that I want to finish this year is Nightbane, so it's a sequel to Lightlark. And for those of you who haven't read this book yet, Lightlark is about this girl named Isla, who is a princess of wildlings, and she has no superpowers, but no one knows it. So she goes to fight to win this tournament to bring power and peace back to their people. And it's on this island that only appears every 100 years. So it's like a centennial tournament. So it's really, the parts of the book that are really cool. And I'm just curious to see how the series ends because I know that the third book in the series just came out. And even though I didn't really like Lightlark, I kind of liked the lore around the reappearing island and I liked some of the characters in the book. So I'm curious to see what happens to them. So I guess we can see if this book is better than the first one. All right, so now let's see what the next category is going to be. Random number. Ooh, this is fun. So I have to pick a random number in my head in order to count the books on my shelf. So let's do 22. I don't know why that number just came to me. All right, I'm going to go count the books on my shelf and see which one is going to be number 22. All right, let's go. All right, it's Maze Runner. I know, it's crazy that I haven't read this book yet, but it's been out since I was a teenager, but I just never got around to reading it because I was too busy reading Hunger Games. But it's by James Dashner. It's another dystopian YA novel about these kids who are stuck in this maze and they're basically trying to get out. I've seen the movies and I really like them, and I tried reading the first couple of pages of Maze Runner. I just didn't like the voice, so Maybe if I try reading the audiobook, it'll be easier. But I definitely want to read them because I like the series and I definitely would like to read more about it. So yeah, all right, we're clicking the spin button. Up next, we have person on the cover. Again, I mean, I do have a lot of people on my cover, so I guess having that as a repeat is not too bad. I know I picked one of her books already, but all of her books have a very similar theme. So all of Allie's books have people on the cover. And this is another chess book because I like chess books and I would like to read more about them to learn not only how to play chess better, but also just because I think it's a really interesting game. So I know that this book is supposedly an enemies to lovers book between these two people on the cover, and they're just chess rivals, I guess, who fall in love. So again, not a huge fan of romance, but I'm committed. My goal is to read all of Ali Hazelwood's books just to catch up. And I definitely am interested to read this one because it sounds like it breaks away from Ali Hazelwood's usual mold of everyone in her books is like in a science field of some sort, and the guy is super big and the girl is like super small. But in this book, they look pretty even. So I like the fact that she's breaking away from her usual formula. So maybe this will be the Ali Hazelwood book that turns me into a fan. You never know. Alrighty, up next. Let's see here. Oh, one word title. I know what I'm gonna pick. Let me fix this chair first. I'm so excited. I'm breaking my chair. All right, I know what I'm gonna pick. I got it. Oh, there are a lot of books here that have one word titles, but I am definitely going to pick this one, which is Babel by R.F. Kuang, which is another amazing book that I've heard so many good things about. I don't think I've heard one bad review about this book ever, and it's supposed to be really interesting. It's supposed to be based off the Bible story. Well, kind of. It's kind of like loosely based off of that one Bible story where the people try to build a tower to get to God, but then he creates different languages to confuse them. And this book I know is about languages and touches on the topic of racism. I know the main character in the book is treated unfairly, and he's a linguistics major, and he's in this tower, Babel. And I think he's married, and this book revolves around him and his wife in some way. I don't really know much about the book because, like I said before, I don't really like to spoil too many things for myself because sometimes I like going into books blind. Sometimes it's worked out in my favor, sometimes it hasn't. But I feel like this one's a guaranteed 4 or 5 star read for me. I know that's a lot of pressure to put on a book, but I feel really confident this book is going to be a really good one for me to read this year. Okay, the books are getting a little treacherous over there. All right, next up, let's see what we have here. Mentioned in Gilmore Girls. Oh boy. Okay, that's a lot. For those of you who don't know, Gilmore Girls is the show between Lorelai and Rory. It's a mother-daughter story about their relationship and their lives in Stars Hollow. And Rory is an avid reader. So Rory, there's a list online of all the books that Rory Gilmore has ever read. I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's my video and I can do whatever I want. And technically, this is mentioned in the show, but it's the third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. And this memoir is another Goodreads Choice Awards winner of 2024, and I've been wanting to read it. And I like her memoirs. I've read Lauren Graham's memoirs, and I thought those were really good. And I like any book that has behind the scenes of a show, and I really like Gilmore Girls. I'm a huge fan of it. And I like to learn more behind the scenes and more about her life because I don't really know much about Kelly Bishop outside of the fact that she was in Dirty Dancing and in Gilmore Girls and a couple other shows by Amy Sherman Palladino. So I'm excited to check that one out, and I heard it's really good. So I'm excited to read that book and see what it's like. All right, hitting the spin button again. Alrighty, let's see what's up next. Okay, sibling relationship. I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like I'm going to skip that one. I don't really think there are any books on my TBR that have anything to do with siblings, besides Intermezzo, which I already picked that one. Oh, okay, TBR cart. Well, I don't have a cart, but I do have a shelf. So for those of you who don't know, I really should have explained this beforehand, but this entire shelf is to my right. To you guys, it looks like it's your left, but this entire shelf is books that I really, really, really want to read. And behind me are books I've already read. So instead of getting a TBR cart, I am just going to look on the shelf here that I have behind me and figure out which book, just I guess randomly, that I just am in the mood to read. So that's kind of nice. I do like the freedom of this category that I'm able to choose in a very broad sense. Okay, well, let's take a look. Okay, I found it. Now, there are a ton of books in my TBR, and I've been wanting to read this one for a while, but I still have the tag on it, so I'm just going to cover that up. but this is Twisted Love by Ana Huang. It's a romance series, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. I think it's YA as well. I don't know if it's enemies to lovers. You're the light to my dark, sunshine without you, I'm lost. Okay, maybe opposites attract. Okay, so it's definitely a romance. It seems very intense, and it seems like it's for a younger audience, but I'm interested to try it because, again, I know it's a very popular one on Book Talk, and I'm always interested to read. So Twisted Love was our 22nd book. So we have 3 more books to choose from. So let's see what those categories are going to be. Some of these spins take a while. Oh, yay, GoodReads Choice Awards. Okay, we already have 2 from that list already. So we're on a good roll there. I like that. Okay, so one book that I know is on GoodReads Choice Awards that I have in my Audible TBR list is Anxious Generation. And this book is, let me see who it's by, because I actually don't know. I feel like the authors are the hardest things to remember. Okay, Jonathan Haidt. Haidt. Maybe it's Haidt. I'm not sure. I'm an English major, but I swear to God, sometimes I cannot pronounce these names. It's a nightmare. All right, so Anxious Generation, I know it's a nonfiction book about, I believe it's Gen Z? Okay, let me look up title details. Okay, there we go. How the Great Rewriting of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. Okay, well, it sounds really good. I've heard good things about it. It's on the GoodReads Choice Awards, so I'm definitely going to read it. This is my only strictly nonfiction book so far outside of the memoir genre, so I'm really excited about that. I usually like nonfiction, even though I don't particularly read a lot of those books. Maybe that's what needs to change. Maybe I just need to read more nonfiction books this year. All right. Okay, so we have 2 more. Let's see what the next category is. Oh, TBR vet again. Okay, this is fun because I honestly do have a lot of books on my TBR shelf that have been there for years. So I'm going to take a bit of a gamble here because I usually don't like her books, but I heard there's a movie coming out about this one with Anne Hathaway. So, of course, I'm going to have to read the book before. And that one is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, full disclosure, I am not a fan of Colleen Hoover. I hate her writing style. I do not like the fact that she romanticizes a lot of very toxic, abusive traits in men. But I've heard that this one is probably one of her better ones because it's a mystery thriller book. And I've heard some reviews about it. And honestly, it doesn't sound as bad as her other books are, like Ugly Love or November 9. I'm probably never going to pick those books up ever. But this is like my last chance with Colleen Hoover. I've read It Ends with the Reminders of Him. And I think after this one, I'm probably going to quit. It's very hard to get through her books. So I'm going to try it, get my own opinion about it. All right. Last category. Let's see if it's a good one. And if it's not a good one, we'll go to the next one. Okay. Spinning. TBR jar. Well, I don't have a jar. I have a shelf. An entire bookshelf. That one's kind of lame. Let's do one more and see if we like that one better. TBR jar it is then. Self-help? Absolutely not. No, I'm not doing it. Not again. Never again. Can't take it. All right. There's a lot of books on my TBR jar. So I'll be right back. I gotta look through them. Okay. So, meeny, miny, mo. Got a tiger by its toe. Which one do I want? Oh God. Okay. I don't know if you can see this, but my bookshelf over here looks kind of crazy because of all the books that I've been taking out for this video. So I don't know why I keep picking romance books. It's probably because February is like right around the corner. And I know I'll probably be reading these books during that time. But the next book I have is another book talk sensation, and that is Shatter Me, Ray Muffy. I know it's like sci-fi or fantasy or something. But I do like the cover. Like, it looks really cool. I really like the eye theme that all of the books have. And I'm just curious to see what the hype is all about. And we'll see how good this book actually is. I'm a little nervous, like anything with book talk books that are really popular. A lot of the times I just don't really like them because they're not really my cup of tea. Or I'm not the target audience and it's just not what I usually go for, but I always like to try new things. And either way, I'm so glad to get this book off my TBR list once and for all. All right, everyone, those were the 25 books I decided to read for 2025. I am super excited to get into them. I really liked having this randomized spin the wheel TBR app choosing my books for me. I definitely suggest doing this for you if you are really struggling to find a book to read next or just for fun. Thanks for those of you who stuck around. Make sure you leave a smiley face emoji in the comments. Let me know you made it all the way through this video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you are new here. And let me know what books you're excited to read in 2025. I always love to hear them. And have a great rest of your day. And don't forget to keep reading.